Coming there, alongside Charmin, Elliott, and we want to introduce her as a extraordinary creative, a creative that is not really known because of her extensive work in the background. But if you really knew what she looked like, you'll see on all the SDA videos back in the day. So and a couple of gigs out there with LCGC. You'll see her there still. But I have done an interview with her about Your Soul Go in here in this very studio. So if you want to find out totally about her, definitely that was a really cool interview that we did. But there's many things to come from Charmaine, and she still remains active to this very day within UK gospel. I could see her singing the whole tune there in the background. Andre Crouch. Is Andre Crouch someone that you listen to?
Literally, Andre Crouch was like the soundtrack of my life.
Wow.
Him
okay, I didn't know that part.
The Winans and Richard Smallwood singers.
Okay.
And there's a few more. Mahalia Jackson was my first.
Okay, Mahalia Jackson. Okay, cool. Mahalia Jackson.
My influence.
Okay, cool.
Andre Crouch. I had this group called Destiny. It was myself, my sister, and Donna Gardier back in the day. And we sang all his songs. Yeah.
Okay, so listen, guys. I'll play this song. So let me see. We're gonna test her out. So 1 second. Get a good voice. I'm not gonna ask her to sing everything, but she's gonna vibe. So you definitely know Jesus is the answer. Yeah. Oh, come on! If you don't know that song, that's a classic. It won't be long.
It won't be long. Yeah.
That's a deep tune, still. Why was he so big, Andre Crouch?
I think because he came with a different sound, and it was really unique.
Because the thing is, he's coming so. You had a generation that was doing what do you call it? Listening to Jim Reeves, and so on. Yeah, but all of a sudden you gone from Jim Reeves, and you had Mahalia Jackson on the side. Yeah, to this guy that had trust me, these guys had a two button open at the top with a medallion. Yeah. And then I've seen some of his concerts, and there'll be literally load of not just black people but white people as well, all lifting up their hands going, connecting, whatever. What was it that made him almost not, and the people see him as a god? The only reason why I feel sorry for him being called a gospel artist, because it almost diminishes his impact. His impact was a great Christian music artist, one of the greatest, if not the greatest Christian music of all time. You can't even give me another artist that made an impact like him from the starting position, miles behind the counterparts that he was with. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I could be corrected here, guys. Whatever. And Hawkins came out of his legacy. You know what I'm saying? But they were still amazing. Yeah. But still, Andrew Crouch was, He
was like an original.
He's the original to me whatsoever. But
and his sounds.
Gone.
It crossed over because it was simple. And the thing is, his choruses were very catchy as well, so people could sing along to it. And that's kind of a good framework for songwriting. When you have simple choruses that people, you have the introduction line, into the song, so they kind of prep you for what you're going to sing later on.
Okay.
That kind of lead into the first verse, and then his songs were like that. So, the choruses were very catchy and simple to sing along to. So, regardless of whether you were black or white, it wasn't complicated. Sometimes you have songs that are very vocally acrobatic and all that, but Andre's songs weren't like that.
So so would you say that at the time his music was seen as secular? Correct, if I'm wrong. It was very. He's seen it from our churches. It's very secular. Because not for our churches. I know from some church. I know my friend's church. They banned the young people to go to see him live in concert.
Really. I didn't even know that, but
okay,
he was quite well accepted in ours.
Okay, cool.
And I think that he wasn't. I don't know whether.
So
was
when
the
she says our
presentation.
church, just a bit of background.
Yeah, my background is from SDA, but his musicality was what made him so accepting for us, because we're all about composition, I think, in many respects. And I just looked at him as a musical genius in a way, and the way that his lyrics connected with your spirit, because even though it was simple, it was true, and it was very much his testimony, you know. I don't know why they felt that he was more poppy. I mean, he wasn't a typical gospel sound, I wouldn't say. And I didn't think he had that typical gospel sounding voice.
Yeah, true. It was. Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, he was 100%. It was different, and he definitely 100% influenced a generation. A generation's music style and the way we come across. And I feel that the likes of the Hawkins, Winans, they were able to cross over well because of that blueprint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he kind of paved the way.
He paved the way. Yeah. And as myself and Kevin, we've discussed about Andrew Crouch's bands and his ability to work with not just black people, but like the multicultural support system. So, we can say that, okay, we celebrate gospel music of black origin here on Affinity Xtra, but we can't hide the fact that basically some of the great creative pieces led by black artists were composed by a mixture of people, the orchestras, the different things. And it's not to say that we didn't have black people that in the orchestra world, because you had Tom Bell, was it? Tom Washington, yeah. So we're gonna make sure I'm calling a friend to make sure I don't get myself in trouble. Benjamin Wright Jr. Yeah, so the. Yeah. Okay, I just got to double check. Yeah, I had to call a friend, Kevin, just to make sure that I get this right. There was he's saying that there was literally 10 top black arrangers in the orchestral world, but still we still were mixing with everybody. We didn't just stay to a monolithic. Go. Okay, cool. Yeah, 100%. So okay. Yeah. Like Quincy Jones himself, you know what I mean, making hits for white artists. You know what I mean. Before he kind of blew up elsewhere, but ultimately, so they had that mixture in his creative world. So I have to take salute to Andre Crouch for the influence that he did have on the children of the Windrush, because he had a massive influence on their sound. 100. We cannot deny that impact. You know what I mean? The same way people could say that Kirk had impacted. You could say Kirk had he's been number one for a long time in the gospel world. But there's a lot of conversations over that. There's not much conversations with the impact of Andre Crouch on Christian music, full stop. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't just a gospel artist. He was a Christian music artist that transcended all over. And it shows that, and this is why we're emphasizing this, is to show that when we do our music, we can transcend and be successful over every color and creed, because I believe we are the best.
Yeah.
When it comes to music space.
And I don't think that he deliberately did his music like that. I think that was just him.
This is just him, yeah.
But then you have somebody like Sam Cooke who would cater for a white audience and then sing differently for a black audience. So,
okay.
Yeah, he's smart.
All right, it's like that, Sam.
He was very smart, but he could be really himself with his people. But then when he was singing in front of a white audience, he catered for their taste or what they could handle, really. With Andre Crouch, his music kind of crossed over both his musicality and his delivery was very much similar, kind of poppy gospel kind of thing.
Popular gospel, that's a good way of describing it in the West Audio. But anyway, we're going to be playing something which you might see somebody look similar to Charmin on this video, yeah? So we're going to play some of this, and we're going to get a bit of a backdrop too. And what was really cool, we done Hey Great Gospel Choir, really be going on with some more stuff coming up in a bit, but we're going to touch base with some of the SDA part of the journey yourself. Be careful of her accent. She's not similar to mine at all. You know, and you know, she's definitely from the push area of you know what I'm saying, of South London. Yeah. No, she had to change her voice heavily there. She had to go, I have to turn it, talk different, you know what I'm saying, you know.
Sometimes it comes out.
It's sometimes, you know, she repressed the South London talk, you know. Yeah, she got into. Yeah, I made it talk. Oh, yes. So I get myself in trouble. But listen, we're going to hit this plays track. You may see some people there. She might get told off by a few people like, why you put me out there on the stream? You'll say, but it's on YouTube, guys. So, you know, tough luck anyway, still, yeah. So let's have a look at this anyway, still, yeah. Let's flip to this. Okay. Sorry to that sister. Oh, no, that's the wrong freeze. When you're talking about, okay, what is our sound in terms of, right? You said the difference is, okay, when I heard Highgate Gospel Choir and I'm seeing the young choir here now singing, I'm going, okay, where is this coming from? Yeah. It seems like it's coming from something different. Yeah. Something deeper. You know what I'm saying? Something significant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I'm saying? So what is the key thing from your perspective in terms of what's the key difference? Yeah. Because for me, it's like, you know, we sing from our stomach. Yeah, how can you transport that struggle that we talked about when myself and Kevin was talking about the struggle, the atmosphere? How did you teach somebody to sing from that?
Okay, so part of the training is about connecting to the lyrics in the song, how that resonates with you in your personal experience and your relationship with God. And the responsibility that you have to the listener. So if somebody, you could be the lifeline between somebody who's about to commit suicide and, you know, making a decision whether to do that or to you know, hold on to life and just put their foot forward to continue on. So it's a serious thing when you are a music minister. It's very different from if you're a pop artist than if you are in ministry. You know, the relationship that you have with God that takes you through that struggle, that gives you that thing to hold on to, you know, your faith, the experiences, you know, that as a Christian or as a believer, whenever you have somebody that stands strong in their faith, or they are a person of faith, there's going to be a pushback because it's spiritual warfare, right? So we have to brace ourselves and be within that the strength of Christ for us to live our lives from day to day. You know,
so you sound like somebody who would more sit down with people, talk to them, reason with them.
Yeah, I
when
do.
We were saying,
you have to.
And I think it's not just a case of just coming like, yo, this is what we do. This is what these notes. It's not a note.
With any artist that I've worked with, I've always taken the approach of, this is the story that you're telling. Why do you feel like that? How am I supposed to believe you? You know, I don't know you.
So you know with that you know, communicating across, and now you're looking at your childhood now coming through. Yeah, how did your mom communicate with you how to come up sing? Was your mom a singer?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how did she teach you how to sing with that purpose? How did she get it across to you? Is this what you pass on to people, or your mom almost didn't say it, you saw it, and you go on?
My mum wasn't that type of singer. My mum sang like an angel, but she wasn't one that was overly expressive. But I had my own experiences, and I was very much a loner and bullied. So I had my own experiences where growing up in the church, obviously I knew about faith. I knew that my relationship with God was really important to me. I would like talk to God in my mind with whatever I was going through. So when it came to music now, we were privileged enough in our family to be sent to piano lessons from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
We all learned another instrument. I played the violin and recorder, and my brother played the trombone.
What age was that?
I went, my piano lesson started from the age of 4. And then about 13, I was like grade 5 piano.
By what age?
13.
It's grade 5?
Yeah.
That's hard, you know.
But then you had to do your practical, and then you had to do your theory.
Yes, I'm practical. Yeah.
You know, was it John Thompson, Royal College of Music?
Oh yes, they used to send it to. Because I remember the grade books, you had grade books and stuff. Yeah. That obviously, by the time I did it, the books are probably pretty in colour.
Kind of buff and navy blue kind of thing. Yeah. But we learned from a very young age the importance of music, and going to the church that I went to. We had so many great musicians that were coming up in the church, and we all kind of went to the same piano teacher for some reason. I mean, she was local to the church.
Okay, cool.
And I think it just got passed around through our parents, who's the best piano teacher to go to. So you had people like Ken Burton and his sister Vanessa, and we all had the same piano teacher. But obviously he's excelled.
Yeah, Ken's done all right in the world out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? So
and then singing wise, we had like the Paul Lees, Paul Johnson, the Escoffrey sisters, all them lot.
Yeah.
And we had our own groups from when we were young, you know, so the choir wasn't the first thing. The Croydon choir was something we all grew up with. And then going on, we were part of groups. I was a soloist, you know, as well. So, and I was taught classically by my piano teacher, she used to teach opera.
Okay.
And she used to be on Opportunity Knocks and win it every week. That's the type of teacher I had. Yeah, so from the age of like 12, 13, she's like, no, I've got to teach you the fundamentals of singing and stuff, because she liked my voice. You know, she heard me sing at church, and she was like, no, got to do this. So I stopped doing piano and I went more into singing. I did it for a couple of years and then went my own way.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So, and it shows you what it wasn't just you just turned up and it just happened. You know what I mean? And I think there was ability of natural ability, but I feel like that I think sometimes we thought that, you know, you were blessed. Likes of Kim were blessed, but they did have to be trained and work hard to get it.
I mean, that was the thing with our parents. Everything that my mum used to say, everything you put your hand to do it to the best of your ability. Yeah. And you learn the fundamentals. You get the background. You know, you study to show yourself approved. That's what they always used to say. And so education for us was a big thing. Mine lent more towards the creative side. But that's where I found my home in music.
Cool.
Even when I used to get in trouble sometimes, my mum would like say, go to your room, and I'd have this gramophone, like you're playing vinyls. So I had to make sure I got the needle right on so it didn't scratch or anything. But then I would just close off into my room, and that was my safe place where I'd just put on Mahalia Jackson and just be singing all her songs, you know. But fast forward, you know, having to direct a choir, the thing that I always say to the singers is, whatever you sing, it's got to be your truth, right? And even if you're singing somebody else's song, something that you haven't written yourself, find in that song what resonates in your own life and sing it from your heart, because it's your truth.
Yeah.
So that's how they learn. And then with every song that I taught them, there was like a strategy that was applied to each song. So they learn it that way. You know, it was like almost like a template for that song.
You're gonna get real phone calls after this. Like, welcome, Charmin, come teach. This is how to teach choirs. But no, that's fantastic, and it's something which, you know, we need to emphasize. This is what we're helping to do, pass down. And do you see them I know what we're doing here and what we'll be doing in the near future. Do you see the importance of kind of documenting what we've been documenting? Because you was there at the Highgate Gospel Choir recording. Is it important that we record and document that sound that we heard as children for generations to come? Because I don't hear it anymore.
No, this is the sad thing about it. You know, for the children that are coming up now, they don't have a lot of reference because we've kind of got a gap between our parents' generation, our generation, and them.
Yeah, there is.
Because life has become so busy and taxing with work and God knows what, that there's been less commitment shown to passing our tools down. And they're going to miss out if we don't do that, you know, and their children will miss out. So today we've got like this instant gratification kind of society. And, you know, even when it comes to putting music together, AI is taking over. So you've got this artificial sound. It's not really the real person. You know, you got music being created artificially instead of going through that normal creative process, which gives it its authenticity and the soul in the music. It's empty. So it's about, and I think it's more so the fact that our children or the children that come after that don't know their real root, because some of us don't know ours. Right? Yeah. And I know from my parents, I would ask my mum a question. I'd like, well, Mum, you know, how'd you do that? Or why is this? And she'd say, go and read the book. Don't ask me no questions.
Come
Just
on.
do what I'm saying.
Don't ask me no questions.
So we kind of try and figure it out for ourselves, and sometimes we will be right off the mark. But then when
okay, is that a bad habit that we're trying to shake off in our generation of parenting, where we want our children to almost learn the hard way?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly
it. And it's not that we want to make it. There's got to be better ways that we're doing and give our children a better standing so they can start from a different place. And it's having the balance of spoiling them, because I feel that we've spoiled a generation as well because of that. But at the same time, we've got to get the balance between allowing them to grow and learn from mistakes, but at the same time, and not giving them everything so they could end up being sport childs. Because I could see a lot of sport situations within the Black community. The generations never understood the struggle through the songs, because not hearing these songs, they've been hearing no offense to the worship sound, they've been singing songs which do not relate to how they got here. And when they're almost not convinced, they need to go through George Floyd to realize that there's racism in the world, and go, oh, it's not true, is it? You know what I mean? Not realizing that
it's so disconnected.
It's disconnected
from then to now. Because I can remember when my dad came to this country. He was a colporteur, so he used to sell religious books and stuff. And he was like a lay preacher as well, and a master builder at the same time. And when he told me his experience of when he went to the New Gallery Church, and they didn't want them there because they were Black.
Wow.
So they went to Brixton.
So he came over here as a religious guy, and you come into a place where you've been serving.
Yeah.
And it says, Brethren, have you seen the mirror lately? You're not wanted round here?
Yeah. I mean, that place was like, you still have communities where it's for that church, or I mean, those people, even though it's the same faith. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not right. But then it reminds me of when I went to Ghana on tour quite a number of years ago now. And we went to the slave quarters, where it's got the door of no return. We went into the captives' quarters, and below that you got the church.
Yes.
And below that is where they kept the slaves chained up, and then you think to yourself, how can they have a church on top of all of that. I don't didn't understand it. So it's the same thing. They it was just the way that they viewed black people, I suppose. And it's just totally misinformed because our history is so rich. And I think that because of the lack of knowledge, like the Bible says, because people perish from lack of knowledge. But then you're seeing the Bible being fulfilled, its prophecies being fulfilled now because things are being revealed that we didn't understand before were true. You know, because of what we were fed, you know, and our parents, even the music that they that's natural to them was deemed as evil. So when they come here, they try and make it, you know, everything's got to be done a certain way where you're suppressed of who you really are, and your culture is kind of, you know, pushed back for you to embrace what's here. You know, and some communities would embrace that and go along with that just to keep things keep the peace. And some wouldn't. They would keep their identity, and you know. And I found that just within my own church, I found that more evident than some other communities. Which was sad because I always felt nervous. I couldn't express myself the way I really wanted to express myself to its fullest when I went up on the stage to sing a song. And I'd be mindful of all these deacons and elders sitting behind me as I'm standing in front of the pulpit, you know. But then I couldn't just sing it like with no emotion. And, you know, I'm looking back now and looking at some footage that I came across, and I was thinking to myself, gosh, the sound's coming out, but then there's not as much emotion as what you're actually feeling because you're trying to hold yourself back, you know. And for me, I don't think that it's very nice for any person who's wanting to sing God's praises to feel that way.
Retreated, and it's oh Lord, what sometimes you know, environments with a lack of knowledge kind of did, you know what I mean, and had us back with. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep Charmin next to me, guys. We're going to go on to a bit of a different type of sound. So which is really important for me. So we touched Dave Copeland, who was from apostolic background, aka Jesus Only, people used to call that anyway. But you got Highgate Gospel Choir, which was New T, New Testament Church of God, which is a major church, you know. And Charmin's from a decently sized church. I'll get myself in trouble here, you're saying, because you know when you talk about churches, and I always say who's the biggest, but some people go, guess what we got in America. That much million, you know what I'm saying? Thinking, Bedrick, come on, man. You know? But anyway, but no, 100% SDA is one of the biggest Caribbean-led churches in the UK, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and so on. 100%. And what I'm going to do is go to Church of God of Prophecy, even though they were very closely related to the New Testament, had a very different sound. And all our spaces got very different sounds. I always say, I have to pick up SDA people. They're like the last, whenever I have a young person say, where you from? SDA, I go, thank God you can sing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because we are not, you know, their output is ridiculous when it comes to singing anyway still, you know? So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they have a classical. No, they keep the disciplines in place. Shaman's of course, man. We're the best, man. You know, man, and because they had no musicians that had to sing good, you know, so they had no noise to cover the duff notes. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a great singers, 100% from my experiences. So let me just, I'm just gonna let's make sure we get it all done right. So sis, right, watching this now. What's is it same in SDA? Exactly the same. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Is it tambourines out and everything else?
They do now.
They do
got the
now. But
whole
back in the day,
bands.
they got whole. So,
Back
but no,
in the
but back in the day,
day.
how did you guys did it back in the day?
Right, so back in the day, they didn't always. Well, in the afternoon services for like the young people now, they would have all that. They would have the tambourine out, and you know they have somebody on the piano.
That's evening service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But
Cool.
for divine hour, it's very much more reverent.
Okay.
They call it more
reverent.
reverent.
Okay. Cool.
And God is
More
like God
colonised.
of order, not confusion.
Yeah.
That's what they used to say.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but it was like more solemn for the worship service, and when it comes to the afternoon, they call it AYS. It was all like that. So it's very much the same.
Okay,
and I knew
cool.
all the songs.
Yeah.
same
I noticed
songs,
that. Same songs.
you know. But now there were some churches that didn't like having drums.
Okay.
That was always kind of a
Yeah.
depending on who the leadership was.
Okay. Cool.
But I'd always push
For
Psalms
drums,
150.
Yeah.
It tells
Cool.
you how
Okay,
you're
yeah,
supposed
so
to
it's-
worship
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
you know. And a timbrel is a drum.
Yeah,
isn't
drum
it?
anyway. Still, yeah.
So we've always had like the full music experience, especially with Croydon and other like Plumstead, where I was AY leader.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
and
yeah,
music director. I'd have everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important when you're worshiping God to worship Him with everything. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
but what was really crazy for me with this watching this back, you know, and you know, even watching Highgate Gospel Choir, it's just the people are just almost lost in the music they were singing. It's almost it's not almost their escape. It takes them away from
the mundane, cares of the world, really.
For a generation who majority of them have lost their parents, it's and they don't sing these songs. They don't have many times to connect with their parents. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, we in Christianity, I believe music's part of our positive escapism. I do believe that you need to sometimes have that therapy. I believe alcohol and all these things are destructive ways of escaping the truth from whatever it is. Because you do have to come back to the realness of life, you know, after these songs. But they see when they drag these songs out, like they repeated a new song after repeating a new song, it almost says to me that, hold a second, but don't want to leave this moment. They want to stay here. They want to stay here as a child. Jumping up and down, and you almost go to your child version of yourself. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, the songs, this is us growing up. This is Windrush. This is what we saw that generation use as a way of expressing themselves. You know what I mean? And yes, people look at the commercial artists, the Bob Marleys, and all these business, but a simple calypso style music having no
It's the
practice.
root,
Yeah.
You know, and it when I listen to music like that, it makes me think of my parents' homeland. It makes me think of Jamaica and the sunshine and the sea and people just being happy. You know, you find that even though people go through their struggles in Jamaica or in the Caribbean at large, they still have a smile on their face. You know that you know, somebody might show them a bit of pity because they're a bit of, you know, they're struggling, but they're like, no, man. You know, God is good. You know, that kind of thing. And it makes you feel shame sometimes. To even be thinking that you need to feel sorry for somebody and they come back to you like, what you sorry for me for? I'm fine. You know, that kind of thing.
Now and it's like sings like even like we listen to songs like Fire. Again, it's something aggressive about. Sometimes we do these songs, you know. You know, say fire upon the enemy, man. I told you, what's that song's about? About war, you know. Even give me a gun, they be like fire, poof, poof. Gunshot. You know, say it was looking at consuming fire. They're looking at gunshot, yo, poof, poof to the enemy, you know.
But you know, those lyrics come from a place of confidence in God's power. So
they say fire upon the teddy boys. Fire upon the teddy boys. Like some semi-automatics, you know what I mean? Go and let my uncle them, my cousins them go and deal with the teddy boy. They say, you know what I'm saying? Fire upon it, consume you. You know what I'm saying? And we're thinking that, you know. So and the thing is like, and I'm just looking at the people that we hear in this video. It's just like just loving it. And
even the younger folk, like when they hear this, they they join in, you know. They like it.
Yeah, man. It's got a
crosses across the age group.
Yeah. I think this video when I release it officially, it's gonna be a go. I think it's gonna be that nice like a go-to video in it for people to sing along to.
Yeah.
And the joke was, you know, guys, when we did this, we shot this video now. We turned all the cameras off and I couldn't stop singing. I kept on singing and singing. It was like, it was like, yo. And there's come at some next version. The next version, it's the same chord for every song.
Yeah.
You hit a note where it works for every song. You turn it up
and you
and
just keep it going from one song to the other.
But wait, Sister Monica, because she just came in the right note. Because it shows, you know, if you're song leader, you know what note's the right note. You know when it's the wrong time and you hit the, oh, this is too high, this is too low. Oh, change key, please. You know what I mean? She's done it before, but
he knows.
And you know what was interesting about, you know, we keep talking about a generation that was built on the fact that basically they had to help out in church. You know what I mean? Had to preach at the age of 12. Like, come on, man. But, you know, it goes back to that original video going back, and I might just play that video right at the end just to contextualize a lot of things that we're saying. Looking at the van, looking at the, you know, these songs. If you play these songs now with that video on top, it connects to that video. It's like a soundtrack of that video. You know what I mean? Yes, we got the what do you call it? Divine Hour. What do you call it?
Oh, yeah.
Divine Hour.
Divine
Yes, we got the Divine Hour. You always have the congregational hymn section.
Yeah.
But evening service.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
know if
you
That's when no
time
walls,
for you
man.
to relax into it.
Yeah, man. You could do a song 11 times and people don't feel no way. You know what I'm saying?
I know, they keep going.
I know.
It's great.
So every song you know as well. Why, guys? You might think, why am I? Because that was a major thing that SDA people don't do. I know our songs or prophecy.
Well,
your fault. Yeah, cool.
But it's the same. It's the same song.
Shall rebuke me today? So I don't quite think so. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's a big difference between, like, I went to sing at a church in Eastbourne one time, and I sang, and then it was dead quiet. After you come, there's no amen. Like in some of our churches, you say amen, and after somebody sings, because you're acknowledging that they've sung a song and that it's, you know, it's good for your soul, whatever. And but they didn't do anything, and it was a majority white church.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah, man.
It was weird.
People definitely do two things differently. Sorry, the guys who are watching in TikTok, I have to say goodbye because just about to run out of battery on my iPad, so we're gonna go. Oh, make sure everybody on TikTok, you go over to YouTube because it's about to go down. Yeah, we started playing these tunes, and Kevin's like, "Why? I'll come in and but it's part of our history, part of our therapy, part of what it is." Now, there's a couple things I want to get into, but before we get there, I want to play this particular track because something I mentioned beforehand as well is a point that you raised. We singing the same songs, so why are we not in the same place?
It's religion that divides people, but
this is absolutely crazy to me, guys, because it's like, as I learn every time I do this, I learn every time when I go, hold on, when they sing the song, I feel like, okay, that's like, I remember singing that song in this place. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going, like when they're singing the song, doing the impromptu thing we just what we heard today. I'm going, hold on a second. That's exactly how we did. So I'm knocking Charmin, going, not knocking, but you know what I mean. She goes, pump me back in. But I'm going, Charmin, you guys sing it like this because, you know, Wisdom was it was more evangelical, but SDA was seen as a bit more outside of our scope, not just because you worship on Saturday, but because of your style and the way you came across him when you sang God. So if you guys don't sing these songs. And you going, I'm singing every tune. I'm thinking, if she doing some Jedi mind tricks, or she must have been prophecy for 2 years or something. You know what I'm saying? But you know these songs. Kevin's, in the background, walking up and down and going, yeah, man, I tune this, man, I tune this. You know what I mean? What? We were separated for no reason. And in the clear observation I'm really making from this is that it divided. They're forward. They're saying it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They divided forward, and we were divided by the one thing which was a blessing, because it saved us from the rejection. And it makes the rejection look like the worst thing that could have happened to our community was being rejected by the church, because we didn't come out into one place. We came out into multiple places, which divided us unnecessarily, because we're singing the same songs. We're going through the same struggle. We're separated. We were scattered.
400 years, the Bible says.
You know what I'm saying?
That we will go through that. And then there's going to be a time when God's going to draw all his people back together.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? And this is what, guys, I'm not saying, guys, that the next thing we should be looking at is planning out how we're going to bring the Caribbean Revolutionary Church together. You know what I mean? It's not really for that for me, what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this is really conversations we're going to be comfortable to be having, because a lot of people have made their observations and refuse to go to church because of his observation. You know what I'm saying? And we have to realize that the organization itself was counterproductive for our community. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? And the growth of our community. And we see the evidence of that today. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because if our churches were that bigger and being bigger and were 4 or 5 times bigger than this here, you know what I mean? They'll be documenting our history. They would have been having schools in place, would have universities. What do they call them in America? The black universities. What do they call them? They call them there'd be a special name for like black owned, like, but churches were had their own universities for their young people. We would have been right in that space. Even though we do have establishments by our people, we'll be in that space. But that's what really comes across to me. Just even making that observation today and actually comparing notes. That's why it's important for me to when I do a lot of his research, and myself and Kevin, we talk a lot and whatsoever, and it's having a cross-reference, a Matthew, Mark, Luke and John reference of a story, because it gives you a more fuller story of what's going on. Now, there is a song which Charmin did say that one of the songs kind of went left a bit and it came back on the right note in one of the choruses. I can't remember which one, but you said it went left, but there was a difference anyway. It's like different.
And the last line was exactly the same.
Okay, cool. Was it My Jesus I Love Thee? It was slightly different than the Acid.
Yeah,
it's like so. So we're gonna go back to My Jesus I Love Thee. We're gonna do the version that I grew up singing. Yeah. So I'm playing 2 still. Yeah. Okay. So this is the full dub version. So I have to cut out because this is again in the same church, but the convention year before. So when I started this song, I thought no, because I know what I'm doing, and